What's going on, movie fans? My name is Michael Weer. I love talking about movies, and today we're going to talk about a movie that has been on my radar for quite a while. I saw this preview back when I saw Strays last summer. It was supposed to come out in September, and it's called Self-Reliance. And then it got pushed from the September release date and got moved to November, and then it got pushed from November, dropping directly to Hulu in January. So I didn't know if this movie was actually going to come out, but then it did. It dropped on Hulu. It's a comedy with some horror elements to it, not too many, so I don't want to oversell this as some sort of horror. It's really not. I just like wearing horror shirts when I make movie reviews. It's just what I like to do. But with that said, let's do the review for the movie that I've been waiting for a while, Self-Reliance.
You been having fun?
Did you just ask about us having fun?
Yes?
No!
And so, guys, the movie Self-Reliance is directed by Jake Johnson. It also is written by Jake Johnson, and it stars Jake Johnson as the main character of Tommy. And Tommy lives a very repetitive life. He lives a life where he wakes up, brushes his teeth, works out, goes to work, comes home, wakes up, brushes his teeth, works out, goes to work, comes home, and it's so on and so on. You see that in the first couple of minutes of the movie, just this montage of him living a very repetitive life. He doesn't really put much stock in life, doesn't really care about life. And then one day he's walking down the sidewalk on his way to his very repetitive job where Andy Samberg pulls up in a limousine. So it's played by Andy Samberg, being Andy Samberg, pulls up in a limousine and tells him, hey, get in. And here's the thing. If Andy Samberg knows your name, pulls up to you on the side of the street in a limousine, you're going to get in. It's just we all would do it. So you understand why he gets in the limousine. So after getting into the limousine and driven somewhere, he's offered to play a game. And in this game, he is going to be watched. He is going to be hunted, and he is going to have people try and kill him. And he has to try and survive for 30 days. But if he can last the 30 days, they'll give him $1 million. Now, he's hesitant at first until they explain the final rule of this game, where if you can find someone to be with you, the hunters cannot kill you while you're physically with someone else. So he thinks, okay, well, I've got my roommate, or I've got friends, I've got people that will band together with me because this is $1 million, so why wouldn't I sign up for this? I just have to stay by their side at all times for 30 days, and I'll make it through this just fine. Now, that is the setup for this movie. There's a comedic element to it. There's somewhat of a horror element, because you're dealing with people trying to murder him, and it can get a little creepy at times. I like that about the movie. But with that said, that's the setup I can give you for Self-Reliance. If it sounds like a decent setup for you, well, you should check it out. It is on Hulu right now, and I had a decent enough time with it. Getting into the positives of this movie, the first thing I have is the comedy side, because first and foremost, this movie does try to be funnier than anything else that it tries to do, and I really liked that about this movie. I thought there was some really good, snappy dialogue between him and Anna Kendrick, or him and other characters of this movie, and I laughed out loud at several of those things. I thought that the situation itself was a bit comical, while it is a little scary because you have people coming after you. Just the idea that you have to be next to someone at all times, even if you're using the bathroom, if they're using the bathroom. At one point, people don't believe him, and so he has to go out and find someone, and so he pays a homeless man to be with him. Then you get this nasty homeless man that's with him this entire movie, so it can make for some good comedic moments, and I think that's a positive for this movie. On the other side of things, the movie does try to be scary a bit, and it's not a horror movie at all, so I would say that it's eerie, and I think that that's a positive I'd throw at this movie as well, because there's several moments where you are creeped out by some things that are going on. Like if he's accidentally alone, people can jump up on him, try to kill him. He has to fight them off, or he has to try to get away from them. And I say that knowing full well that this is not a horror movie, and it's not an action movie in any way. If anything, it's more of a look at you as a person and what you would do in this situation, and how there's a meaning to life. It really goes that direction more than anything else. But there were some eerie moments in this movie that I wanted to throw in the positive category, because those really worked for me. My final positive, like I said, it had this emotional beat to it where you were seeing this guy go on a discovery of self-reliance. So the movie's called Self-Reliance, and you see that he realizes that he doesn't need other people to attain his goals in life, and that he can make it on his own. But it's not bad to have other people with you along the way that believe in you, or friendships that you can make along the way in life. And so I like the story this movie told. But my final positive for this movie is there's so much skepticism from all of his friends not believing him. Like he'll see a hunter, but then they'll duck away before his friends can see them, so he's the only one that saw it. So they're all like, I don't know if this is real. Like it seems like you're losing it, or maybe you're making up stories again. Like maybe that's what you're doing. And I liked that element of this movie. I really did. I wanted to save it for my last positive, because you, the viewer, ended up about halfway through the movie going, is this all on the level or not? Like, is this in his head? Like, does he just suffer from trauma in his life? And so maybe he's making all of this up along the way? Because yeah, every time that people pop out and they're after him or they're warning him, no one else knows in the movie. And so people are just sort of either going along with it or they're completely calling him crazy. And so you, the viewer, start to feel that way. And they do get somewhere toward the end of the movie I won't spoil, and they make it definitive, like, here's what's going on. And so I appreciate that from the movie. But yeah, my last positive is definitely just that keeping the viewer wondering throughout the movie. It keeps you invested in the runtime of this movie. For my negatives, the first one is on Anna Kendrick, and it's not her as an actress because I think she's a lot of fun. I think she really falls into that snappy, quirky dialogue quickly, and that's how this movie is written, and I think she plays her character well. I just didn't find a reason for her character to actually be in this movie. If you watch the entirety of the movie, he does have this past love that he can't really get over, so I guess she sort of helps him get through that, but you didn't need that element in this movie. The movie's called Self-Reliance, and I don't think his character really needed that quick love interest kind of thrown in from Anna Kendrick, because she comes into this movie as sort of this love interest for him, and then by the end of the movie, she's just gone completely. And so it's like, well, why was she in this movie at all? So Anna Kendrick, for me, I didn't need her in this movie. She did a good job, I'm not saying that, but for me, they just didn't need her character. It did pad the runtime a little. It did sort of give him the ability to talk to his ex, so there might be some merit for it, but for me, you could have cut her out completely, and it would have been the same movie. And finally, my other negative is the ending does fall a bit flat. Like, you had me hooked for both of the first acts of this movie. You get him into this game. Second act is him really playing this game, trying to stay alive. You have people coming after him. Is it in his head? Is it not in his head? You're introduced to several different characters, including Anna Kendrick. And so you get through these first two acts, and I was really invested, and I was like, how are they going to put this thing home? Like, what are they going to do? And when he gets to the end of the game, I won't tell you exactly what happens, but for me, it falls just a bit flat. Like, they had all of these ideas, or Jake Johnson had these ideas since he's the writer, and the ending just sort of happens. It just sort of, you made it there, and it was like, okay, this is what you were probably expecting, so this is what's going to happen. And then we're going to try to have a funny scene at the very end with a special cameo from somebody, and everybody will forgive us. And for me, it's just like, you had a very good concept, a very good plot. You get to the end in this final scene where he's running from the hunters, he's on his last day, and it just sort of falls flat. I don't know, that was my experience with it, but I've only seen it once. Maybe that'll change if I rewatch this. I do plan on rewatching it with my wife. Think she'll enjoy this a lot as well, so maybe I'll change my opinion. But those are just my opinions, because that's my review for Self-Reliance. Guys, have you had a chance to check out Self-Reliance on Hulu yet? If you have, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what you thought about it, where we agree, where we disagree. It's important to me to get your thoughts on movies as well, and I love going back and forth with you guys in the comments. If you liked what you saw here, don't forget to hit that like button, because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Alright guys, we got to the end of the Self-Reliance movie review, and I had a great time with this movie. It's one of the better streaming movies I've seen in the past year. It's really the best praise I can give to this movie. It's like 2023 streaming movies were not very good, and this movie then set the bar now for the rest of the year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we get next. But until the next review, if you want to check out any of the other content on my channel, well, I've got all of my 2023 reviews right there, and I've got all of my 2024 reviews right there.